Executive Director of the East Texas Arboretum. I started out as a volunteer and somehow ended up being the director, so I'm going on my 11th year total. I love my job. I love my town and my county, and I love being a Texan. What we do here is we're in nature conservation, and we combine history and horticulture, nature and nostalgia, if you will, and I think we do a pretty darn good job of it. We have a small budget. We're a nonprofit. We are not a state or city supported. Not that they don't give us some support at times, but we are not. We're our own entity. Okay, we have to raise our own funds for things like maintenance, payroll, electric bill, fertilizer. We do get grants for some projects, and but the rest of the money we raise ourselves through weddings, rentals for other events, memberships, and events.
Alright, so my thoughts on the Arboretum and the Atmos pipeline going through it. I love the Arboretum. I go there 3 times a week and go walking the trails, or even just to help Angela out. Not Angela, I don't want to cut that. Teresa out. Angela's her daughter. But just to go out there and help them out, maybe promote something they're doing, or just, hell, just to go see the scenery.
What brought us here today is about September the 10th or so, Atmos came here and let me know that they were going to do some maintenance work on the line. Now, in the 10 years that I've been here, maintenance work on the line might have meant some soft cuttings, or they came out there with their little hand sniffers to see if there was any gas leakage or anything like that. And Darrell Winfield, who was the man that was over the Athens station here, he always came in and spoke with me before they would come out there and do anything. Or 99% of the time he would, and just let me know they weren't going to be on the property and what they were looking at. And I was always kind of under the assumption that the pipe was behind the bog and it went another area. And matter of fact, some maps that I have show that. Misinformation there, I guess, on my part. But we have a suspension bridge out there that is the connection between the 2 miles of trails, and it runs over a piece of Willow Creek. And the suspension bridge is one of our pride and joys. And when you're walking across the bridge, you have the cinnamon ferns and the wood ferns, and you have the forest on both sides, and you have the dogwoods and that type of thing.
I found out last week that the Atmos people came through and said they were going to do maintenance, which they do quite often out there, according to her, but there's never been any real visible signs of maintenance, and all of a sudden there was this half-mile just eyesore that they cut out.
One of my board members went out there. He was going to do some maintenance on the bridge, check it to see if it had any vines or any leaves that need to be blown off or anything like that. He does that about once or twice a month, checks the trails for fallen trees or limbs that he has to cut down, and came back to the office and said, "Teresa, you're not going to believe this." He said, "First of all, I want to know if you know what happened." And I said, "No." And then he told me there was a clear cutting, about a half-mile clear cutting, about 120 feet wide, and I don't know, a quarter mile, a half a mile. At the time, we weren't sure exactly what it was. So went down there, sure enough, our trees were gone, our flora and fauna were gone, nothing on that side of the bridge. We were pretty shocked.
Really, it's aggravating. There's a 200-year-old tree out there that was beautiful, big double-trunked tree. I mean, was that wide or wider around. That she had ferns planted out there that were growing in, and my question really is, why that part? Why did you decide to cut down that part? And where's it going to go from there?
No one had informed me that was going to be the scope of the work from Atmos Energy. People have asked me since then, well, couldn't you not hear that heavy equipment? And if you can look over my shoulder here and look out the back of my office window, there's nothing but forest, about a half a mile of forest between me and where the suspension bridge is. Also, if the guys are out here mowing and using the weed eaters or the blowers, it's hard to even hear on the phone. So that's one reason I did not hear it. Anyway, so I called Atmos several times. I just started with customer service. Could not get in touch with anybody local here. I had left a couple of messages on another matter, our fall festival, and had never gotten a return call from that person. So, and they had informed me that there was no one that had taken Darwin's place yet. So I just started calling customer service, and I left messages, and one person would get me a little further up the line, and then the next person would get me further on up the line. I told him, the person with, the saying the buck stops here. Well, that's the person I wanted to talk to where the buck stopped. Finally got a call back from Atmos. Now, in the meantime, the media had got wind of the situation, and they wanted to call on us and do interviews and things like that. And I was wanting to hold them off until I could hear from Atmos. And we assumed it was Atmos because, they were the ones that told us they were going to go do work out there. And we saw the yellow gas lines, signs along the gas line that we had never seen before.
One thing that scares the Arboretum director so much is she doesn't know what else is going to be done out here in the woodland area. If you can see this map here, this is the bog area. This is the suspension bridge that goes across the bog that connects the 2 miles of trails out here at the Arboretum. Imagine this map is flipped this way because we're looking south toward the city of Athens. So what you see here is Bob Max Crossing, which is the steel suspension bridge that's in place. What Atmos Energy has said is that they still have 500 more feet to clear, but they have not told anyone yet which direction that 500 feet is going to go, since they have ceased all clearing operations out here in the woodland area. The director of the Arboretum, however, is concerned that 500 feet could go through this bog area. Now, this bog contains endangered species such as the pitcher plant, and she does not want those plants to be wiped out and never have a chance of coming back. Now, as she said in the interview, they do controlled burns, but the pitcher plants come back. They don't want everything cleared out, however, to where it will not grow back, covered in mulch, much like the area that was cleared already for the pipeline, the half mile that was cleared back towards the city. They have not said whether this pipeline comes down this way and runs back through the bog area, or if it runs around this back area here. But as you'll see in a moment, if it does run around this back area, this whole area here is covered with trees. So when you're standing on this outlook here, it looks absolutely amazing view from this outlook. What she's concerned about is that the pipeline could possibly come around this way, and they'll have to clear out all these trees, and it's just going to take away all of the beauty of this outlook area.
After that, after we got through doing a couple of news stories and interviews, Atmos called that afternoon, and we set up a meeting with them after we had already done the first 2 or 3 stories, I can't remember. Anyway, and I really thought that that might hurt us because we were really upset, and But you know, we're human about it and use our common sense, and they knew that we were upset, and they have apologized about the miscommunication that we had.
Now, for Atmos, I understand there needs to be a certain amount of clearance around your pipelines to prevent fires in case it does catch on, you know, blow up or have a leak or whatever. It's a safety issue. We understand that, and that's well and good, but really, did you have to go through the Arboretum? Did you have to cut out that instead of going through or around it? Those are really my main questions. But, I mean, you don't know what was living out there. They haven't released an environmental survey that anyone could look at yet. Hopefully they will soon. And I'm pretty sure in Texas wetlands are protected. That's part of the bog, which is essentially wetland. There's all kinds of wildlife that's out there. There could have been endangered species that we don't know about because we haven't seen the environmental study. There wasn't enough time. It was just up, they were there, and then it was gone. Like thieves in the night. They came through and stole it all, got rid of it, and no one was the wiser until the next day when you're walking through the trail and see it. Boom, it's gone.
They are adamant that what they need to do is for their customers and the population's safety. And you know, we do not want people to, of course, we value human life above all else. And it's just very disappointing that these lines were not maintained from the beginning like they should have, and the information that we had was not accurate, because first of all, that suspension bridge would have not been put where it was at, and some of the trail systems would have been rerouted, so it wouldn't affect the pleasure and the fun and the beauty that you have when you go across that suspension bridge. Kids love it. We had the cinnamon ferns, really big, dark, reddish brown ferns, and of course we have the wood ferns, and ours get really big out there. They've been growing there for the last 11 years that I've been here. Of course they die back and come back every year, but their roots get bigger and bigger. As the roots get bigger, the ferns get bigger, and the kids, when they see them, they say, "Oh, this looks like the land before time." You know, what I don't understand is, you know, my ferns, they got wiped away, and didn't even get a chance to relocate them on other areas of the creek, and that's where the cinnamon ferns are really most prevalent. Is right there on that spot, and I don't even know if I have any other cinnamon ferns anywhere out there. So yeah, pretty upset about that. And
not only am I upset about them tearing it down and putting the pipeline through it, but really it takes away from the allure of the Arboretum. You go out there to get just maybe an hour break from city life. Go out there, see nature. It's quiet. You can, you know, walk the trails, just relax and get back to nature. I am by no means a hippie or anybody who is all about nature and going out into the wild and living off the land. I love supermarkets. I love gas in my car. I like heat and electricity. All the comforts of home. That's what I want. I'm not going to live in a log cabin like Abraham Lincoln or something. I don't care about that. I'm not that manly. But, you know, these are just my thoughts. I'm a little upset about it. Actually, I'm a lot upset about it. And curious as to why they had to do it in that specific location. And where's it going to go from there?
you know, some people call me a tree hugger. some of us, but that's what we're here for. It's basically we love to preserve. It's our job to preserve nature, and so we've had several meetings with Atmos. They have let us know that they still have another 500 feet to go on the other side of the bridge, and so we are working with them to try to prevent any further damage. We need to do a habitat study, an environmental study. Of course, we have our bog out there with our endangered plants. We're going to have some erosion problems now because of all the vegetation that's gone on the creek, and we could lose some trees. It could damage our bridge. So there's some work that's going to have to be done. But what I want people to know is this place was not built overnight. We consulted people who knew what they were doing. The bridge has a stamp of an engineer on it. It was designed by an engineer firm. It was built by an engineer. He was retired, but anything we've done out here, we've tried to consult experts in their field. So we are not going to fix this overnight, and it's going to take some time. And we may have to map out our trails, some of our trails out there, and reposition the suspension bridge. It's just according to how the rest of the cutting has to go, because they're saying that they are going to maintain these lines. So we want everyone to get the 100% experience when they come out here and walk the trails. So there will be work to do, excuse me. And what we want everyone to know is we appreciate their patience, and and please continue with your support with us as we go through this, because it might take a couple of years to get this back to where we need it to be. We have some other meetings scheduled with Atmos, and we're just going forward from there. And we understand they need to keep people safe. They need to do their job. We need to do our job, and we're doing what we should have done in the beginning, is come to a mutual understanding and make sure that we can, like I say, keep everything as much as we can, protect it that's possible. If these lines hadn't been properly maintained when other companies owned them, we wouldn't be in this spot right now, because we would have known where the lines were, and certainly wouldn't have put the bridge where it is and some of our trail systems. But what's done is done. We can only move forward. And so we appreciate everyone's support. And if anyone is ready to volunteer when we get the plan going, y'all can come on out, because we would sure use your help.
This is the area that was affected. I'm standing on a 100-foot suspension bridge called Bob Max Crossing. It's out here in the woodland area of the Arboretum. Below us is a creek. Back in that direction is the bog area. Back behind me used to be nothing but trees, all the way back to a neighborhood that is back here. The pipeline runs right through here. Atmos owns a 50-foot easement for their 6-inch steel pipeline. What the Arboretum doesn't know is the extra 500 feet that they're going to have to clear, which is obviously back in that direction. If you could see behind me here, you would see the creek and the bog area. Here, I'll flip you around. The trail runs right here. As you can see the trail running. This trail is connected to this trail by this bridge. The bog area is off in this direction, and 500 more feet needs to be clear. The Arboretum is concerned that 500 feet will run through their bog area and affect those endangered species that are living out there, such as the pitcher plant. From here on out, the Arboretum and Atmos have agreed to work carefully with one another to make sure something else like this does not happen again.